Welcome back to the Real News Network. I'm Kim Brown. Part two of our conversation with Professor Bill Black. We've been talking about the ongoing internal debates between Democrats, and especially being played out on a public stage on Wednesday night as CNN hosted a debate amongst those seeking to chair the Democratic National Committee. And Bill, in part one of our conversation, we left off with you talking about how Donald Trump was able to capture a good amount of the so-called white working class vote. But Bill, when you talk about someone like Donald Trump seemingly making some overtures towards union members and working class, I mean, really you are referring to the white working class, because Donald Trump did not win over voters of color, not by a long shot. But this is also sort of the internal debate in which has been aired publicly among some Democrats about allowing the so-called white working class to just be usurped by the Republicans. And some of the arguments about that is that part of the reason that Trump and the Republicans were able to dominate so heavily in 2016 was the Democrats' seeming insistence on focusing upon so-called identity politics. And this is something that we are seeing play out between the Democrats, and we're not necessarily getting a consensus here amongst the people who are vying to be the Democrat leadership.
No, you're quite right. It's a debate among the leadership, but at least some people are now trying to take seriously the fact and remedy the fact that the New Democrats have engaged in what I call the long war against the working class. So it's not even on the issues we've been talking about, and that's the point. It's things like austerity. So austerity says, I'm going to make you unemployed so that what? You know, for no pointless reason in terms of the economics of it. That's insane. But the big inflation hawks have been the Clintons and Obama. So that's nuts. That's a policy that we have to get rid of. Similarly, yes, I am talking about the white working class. And the white working class, you have to remember, most people think that roughly half of the white working class that voted for Trump had voted at least once for Obama. So life is complicated. These are people who have lots of different issues. And they can be appealed to and have been appealed to successfully by, and in very recent times, by people like President Obama. If the Democrats had not been waging this long war on the working class, then they'd be doing a whole lot better, and they would have the presidency today.
So, Bill Black, I'm sorry to keep calling you by your first and last name. It just kind of rolls off the tongue very easily. Bill Black, the Democrats will, right. They will be voting on who will be the chair of the DNC in Atlanta over the weekend on February 23rd, on or abouts there. So what are the implications for either of the two frontrunners, Keith Ellison or Tom Perez, if they win? Because many are speculating that should Tom Perez win and become the chair of the DNC, that is going to isolate and infuriate many of the Ellison people who are de facto Sanders people. And can the Democrats really afford to lose this younger, very engaged base of progressive voters when in 2016, not only did Democrats lose the White House, but Republicans control, I believe, 33 governor houses and 32 state legislatures. So the Democrats are completely at a disadvantage all across the board, both at the state and federal level. So what are the implications here for the winner and the loser?
So I can finally answer with a simple question. Answer, no, they cannot afford that. And therefore, that's exactly what they're likely to do. Most people think that Perez may not win on the first round, but is likely to win in the second round of voting. And the message from the New Democrats is absolutely clear to the progressive base of the Democratic Party, which again, I emphasize, is the part that turns out vastly more to really vote, and when they turn out, they vote for Democrats. They don't vote for, they're not folks who vote for conservative or moderate Republicans type such. So the message of the New Democrats is, it is not legitimate. You are not legitimate. You are not allowed ever to have leadership in something like the DNC. You are not allowed to be presidential candidates. The only people that are allowed are folks who are the Wall Street wing of the Democratic Party. And, that's exactly what historically the New Democrats have been. Now, they stand for other things. They stand for austerity, which is a disastrous policy for America, in particular for the working class. They stand for these supposed trade deals, which are really not about trade, but are in fact far more about giving weapons to corporations to destroy regulations, not so much in the United States, but in other countries. For example, if you adopt a rule in a nation, they bring a suit against you under these trade deals because you tried to protect your public from smoking. I'm not making that up. That's happened twice under these trade deals. That if you try to protect your public from predatory firms, you get sued for hundreds of millions of dollars. They're the folks who brought us the invasion of Iraq, that in enormous support with Bush, and who attacked anyone who was not on board as a traitor. That's the current acting head of the DNC, down in Brazil, right? He's a New Democrat who went and when Bush did that invasion on all those lies of Iraq, went and did an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal of all places that basically said any Democrat that didn't support Bush was going to be perceived accurately as a traitor to the American people. It's just, and in case after case, the policies against the working class that we've talked about as well, their funding comes overwhelmingly, New Democrats' funding comes almost entirely from major corporations. Historically, in the key years of when they were founded, their funding literally came from the Koch brothers, right? And from the Bradley Foundation, which is the most fanatically ultra-right-wing uber conspiracy group that focuses on destroying organized labor and is the primary reason that Scott Walker is governor in Wisconsin,
Bill,
the enemy of labor.
Indeed, and I feel like we could probably have a conversation that is much longer than the one that we are having, because so many issues were raised at the debate, like superdelegates, the issues of rigged elections, not necessarily the general election either. A number of the Bernie supporters were openly saying that they felt as if the Democratic primaries were rigged in favor of Hillary Clinton, and it's just further proof that there is still some hurt feelings out there, and some things that need to be sort of massaged in order to bring everybody into a unity sort of mindset. But unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time. So maybe we can have this conversation again before they finally go and vote on the chair on the 23rd of August. So, of February in Atlanta. So hopefully we can have you back before then, Bill, to sort of expand on this conversation.
Thank you.
And we've been joined with Bill Black. He's an associate professor of economics and law at the University of Missouri at Kansas City. We've been talking about the debate on Wednesday night on CNN between the numerous people who are seeking to be chair of the Democratic National Committee. You've been watching The Real News.